Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Actually, before I start today's presentation, I want to tell you a story, okay? I want to tell you a story about when I actually arrived in Hong Kong. Because I guess from the name on the brochure today, you know I'm not from Hong Kong, even though the company is from Hong Kong. So I first came to Hong Kong in 1993, just after I graduated. What I saw in Hong Kong, innovation, entrepreneurship. Every corner I turn, I can see people doing business. Everybody I talk to have a way to solve problem that from where I came from is either 1 or 0. But over here, there are many shades of gray, as they say. Not the naughty part of many shades of gray, the proper part of many shades of gray. So, fast forward. In year 2000, I actually started my first company in Hong Kong. I came back from the States. I chose Hong Kong because I couldn't forget the kind of vibrant in this city. Fast forward some more, in year 2007, I was working in a company in Hong Kong, and we were doing, actually in 2006, 2007, we were doing MP3 players. I think today, for people like my age, if you tell your kid MP3 player, they will look at you and, huh? You know? So we were doing MP3 players. MP3 players was probably, besides garment, MP3 player was probably one of the first wearable, that you will bring with you, like the Walkman, And one of the things we noticed, at the time I was with another company doing R&D. The company was founded by 3 Hong Kong University professors. So we noticed that when people listen to music, one of the places they listen is when they go run. Why? Well, because especially if you haven't run for a long time like me, who ran last Wednesday, but if you ran too much and you overexerted yourself, it can be very dangerous. It doesn't matter if you are fit like a fireman, I think, unfortunately, we have seen in newspaper in the past, there are firemen who unfortunately dropped dead. Why? He's so fit. Well, one of the reasons is that he overexerted when he exercised. His heart rate went too high. We all have heard about the rule of thumb, 220 minus your age equal to your maximum heart rate, and you should not exceed 80% of your maximum heart rate. There's another factor in there called heart rate variability, which is the measure, one of the indication, that is actually heart rate variability is the difference from the peak to peak of your heart rate. It's not how high it is, but when you sit it down, for example, the delta between each peak of your heart rate. So that's heart rate variability. Apparently, it's also a good indication about, for example, how ready you are, your body situation. We recently talked to the fire service department. One of the problems that they told us was that, for example, when 3 firemen, we know they are very fit. Every time they can go in to fight the fire for 1 hour. But unfortunately, one of them just had a cold recently, just recovered. And his ability to endure that kind of very tough environment has actually reduced. So we talk about if we can measure or detect their HRV, can the commander actually tell them, hey, you better come out now after 20 minutes to rest, instead of he just keep going thinking he can do 1 hour. So things like this are the topic of today, what we are trying to measure. Anyway, fast forward some more in year 2012, and by the time I told myself I will not set up another company because it was very painful. But by 2012, because we have already developed quite a lot of patents and technology on physiological sensing. Physiological sensing including activity sensing, including motion sensing, including pulse sensing. Finally, a few of the ex-colleagues, we said, hey, let's be foolish. Let's start something. Let's do it again. Because at 2012, I guarantee 90% of people in this room don't know what is wearable. Maybe you think wearable is a T-shirt or something like that, So we said, we think there's a future. Unfortunately, by the time my ex-boss, they kind of give up because, he has invested since 2007 to 2012 5 years. The first customer that licensed us was Motorola. 2010, I went to Libertyville, cold call, and the person couldn't meet me. He sent his boss. His boss was the CTO of Motorola Motorola Accessory Division. His name's also Sanjay Gupta. He met up with me, and then within 2012, we signed. Within 2010 we signed. Within 2012 CES, it was launched. 3 months later, 2012 April, Motorola was bought by Google. So unfortunately, everything stopped. They canceled all the earphones. They canceled they canceled a few cell phone models, and a lot of people got fired. Huh? So that's why my ex-boss kind of gave up. But then for a few of us, we felt foolish. We think there's a future. So we came out, we do again. So despite I tell you that I didn't want to start a business, I started again. So today, what I'm trying to tell you is that, number one, I still believe Hong Kong has a lot of very innovative people who are very entrepreneurial. And the message for today is I'm looking for, besides licensing my technology, actually one of my potential customers is sitting right here. He's the director of Harman Kardon. So in case you want to sell to him, he's in this room also. You know, I'm also looking for people who want to do startup, who say, hey, you know what? I have a problem. For example, I have a sleep apnea problem. Sleep apnea is actually quite dangerous because it doesn't only kill the sufferer at night, but it can also wreak havoc, for example, when the person is going to drive. Because you don't know, you're driving and then you go into the Lion Rock Tunnel, it's 4 kilometers, and then it's very tired, you know, and we just had food, right? And then fall asleep, bam, that's it. So at the IoT Heroes Award we won this year, I think in April, and then it came down from stage, and within 24 hours I met a few people who has that problem. And they told me that, hey, you know what, if we can have a device, and these are people 40, 50 years old, rich, middle class people, drive a nice car, if they can have a device that, for example, measures their blood oxygen and give them a warning, respiration rate, give them a warning, if this is $200, they'll happily buy it. So the message here is I'm not going to encourage you to do a startup to do another Fitbit. I think there's only one Fitbit. I think we just talked to Mr. Jay, you know, the whole world, there's only one Fitbit. You know, nobody else, you know, I don't care, frankly speaking, even Xiaomi is quite tough right now. Jawbone will stop, Microsoft Band stop. But if you have innovation, you don't want to put everything in one solution. So today I'll give you a snapshot of what kind of solution we have. So again, besides our licensing business, we also are looking for people, for example, you in this room, who may have been doing the same job for the last 20 years and you are a bit sick and you want to do something different for the next 20 years and you want to be like foolish like me, and I say, hey, let's do something together. I'll explain to you what we're going to do. So we're going to build the world's largest suite of Premedical IoT devices. Let me explain real quick what Premedical means. Now, we all know what medical means. Medical means that, you know, for example, things we see, the devices we see that's being used in hospital, for example, or clinic. I think in those hospitals, when you walk inside, if you're doing a CT scan, MRI scan, you look at the device doesn't say GE, doesn't say Philips, doesn't say Siemens. They use a Xiaomi MI. For example, I shouldn't be saying Xiaomi. I should be saying ABC brand. I think you will run away. But I think Premedical represent something that is highly accuracy is required, maybe not FDA required, and it definitely represents an opportunity for us in Hong Kong to develop such a device, because Hong Kong, with our access to information, and Hong Kong with our close proximity with Shenzhen, we can make prototypes to realize our ideas very fast. So that's why I think I'm here to talk about IoT devices. So I think the top level numbers, I think we all know. Aging population, rising medical costs. By some researcher, it's a $200 billion market just in hardware, not include services and so on and so forth. This is a huge opportunity that we are trying to address. And it can come in many different forms. In the booth outside, we will show how we put our technology into earphones, but it can be anything. It can be a wristband, it can be a headband, you know, it can be a nose ring, I don't know. As long as you know the market, how the user can appreciate it. So this is a big market that we are trying to attach to, tag together. Today we have a few technologies. On the leftmost corner is the use of optical sensors to measure heart rate. Now we all have been in the hospital, we have visited people who have lied down and have this pulse oximeter to connect to the finger. So it uses infrared like we do. It also uses red, by the way, to measure SpO2. What we have done is we enable that technology to be used when you're moving around. We license to brands. So for example, people today that you know has a watch or earphone or device that measures heart rate, those are our potential customers. What we are different is number one, in that case currently we use infrared. So infrared you don't see it versus green. I think for example Apple Watch you see green. One of the problems with green is that it doesn't go too deep into the skin because the wavelength is shorter, and when it comes out, less information can be retrieved. But it's easier to work on it, but however, again, it gets absorbed by darker skin. So we use infrared that goes deeper inside so that we can get more information. To put it bluntly, for example, when you have a cold weather, the surface of your skin, the blood vessels, you can imagine not much blood, for example. Then if you're using a wavelength that is short, how can it be accurate? But of course, the challenge of using infrared is when it goes too deep, is that you also pick up a lot of noise. So I'm here to tell you that we have been doing this patent for the last 6-7 years, and we are actually very proud of the achievement we have done to make dynamic PPG applicable even to a chest belt, but when compared to a chest belt. So within it's within 5 beats per minute different. So we can do that. The logo in the middle is about activity sensing. The Japanese have been selling pedometers for 30-40 years, and they have a lot of patents. And yet our company, we were able to file patents pertaining to differentiating walk and run. So as you can imagine, if you walk 1,000 steps and you run 1,000 steps, the distance, the calorie could be different. But we are beyond that already. The next step, or the current step we are trying to do, is to use activity monitoring to measure things like gait, balance, or the activity that you're doing. Why do we want to measure balance? We all know that kneecap problem, changing of kneecap, is one of the problems that perhaps for some of us, we have parents like me that have to change a kneecap. It could be because of the walking or running posture in the past wasn't correct. So if we can develop devices that can detect this a bit earlier on, so we want to prevent the situation from deteriorating into a medical situation. One of the other examples I like to quote is that the loss of balance is one of the early symptoms of dementia. So for example, if we somehow can embed sensors into devices that we put on our parent, this is not to try to reverse the dementia. I don't think there's a cure. But this is to tell you that it's time to call home or time to go home and play mahjong with your parent, help them with their, help them a little bit, do something. So this is what we want to do. The third logo on the right-hand side is about blood pressure. So recently we managed to file patents that can measure blood pressure without the pressure gauge. I would imagine that a lot of people in this room actually don't know how to measure your own blood pressure. And I would imagine a lot of people in this room don't know what your blood pressure should be. But I already told you on the logo what it should be. So there's no prize for guessing that right. So as we all know, blood pressure for hypertension is one of the big problems of modern. In fact, I spoke to a chief health officer of a multinational insurance company, hypertension is one problem. If we can detect and advise the person about that in advance, help them manage their lifestyle, for example, this is something that we like to do. However, because we are the engineering, we have been investing in engineering. I don't know how to do a product. That's why I'm looking for partners. So this is an example of the accuracy. You may be thinking, oh, wow, Kow, you're saying your technology is so good and so great. So this is a testimonial from one of our customers called Parrot. It's a French company. You can find their drones in Apple Store. The highlighted part basically says that they have tested our technology in more than 1,000 accumulated miles of interval training. Because when you want to test a piece of wearable, interval training is one of the toughest tests, whether that device is accurate or not. So they've tested in different ear size, male and female. They've tested in different skin color. They've tested in different weather conditions, whether it's dry, wet, sunny. And they found our technology extremely close. The two diagrams on the right-hand side, both are comparison between our technology when we built into, in this case, an earphone and a chest belt. And you see basically on two of the chart, either the chart is just, it looks as if there's just one color, one line. That's because it's very accurate, it overlays. One of the advantage of measuring, because a lot of people ask me, so you measure heart rate. What for? Why you want to measure heart rate? Actually, I also have people who doesn't know that you should walk 8,000 steps a day. Or you should walk 8,000 steps a day at a heart rate that is within a certain heart rate zone, not just walk 8,000 steps a day slowly. One of the things that we measure is called VO2 max. Now VO2 max is in Chinese 心肺功能. Basically, that's what we would say. It's a indication of your heart and lung capacity. In the past, probably if you Google VO2 max right now, you will see that you have to wear a mask, oxygen mask, and you do it in the clinic, or you need to go outside and run 1.6 kilometer. It's a test that is commissioned by Rockport, the shoe brand. So what we did is we worked with the professor of Chinese University of Hong Kong, who was very innovative, and he figured out a way to measure VO2 max just by 3 minutes of leg raise. So you can see the my colleague there is doing a 3 minute, every minute 96 times. So what's the purpose of VO2 max? VO2 max is a good indication of your fitness level, and according to Professor Hui, who actually published the paper, VO2 max is also a good indication of longevity. So instead of telling you you may still be confused what it is. But if I were to say that after let's say you are 40 years old and after you test your VO2 max using my device, it tells you that actually you have the heart and lung capacity of someone that is 25. That's what it's trying to say. I think you'll be very happy, right? I know a friend who claimed he's 70, but he runs like a 40 years old, But if you are 40, and then unfortunately it says you have a heart and lung capacity like a 70-year-old, then I think it's a big problem. So this tells you you don't want to do it. You don't need to do it every day, but you don't want to do it only once a year in the clinic. You want to do it every few months after you train, because otherwise, if you use weight as an indication, it's not good indication. Because if you keep running, one day it will go plateau, and then a lot of people give up. And then if you continue, actually your weight goes up. So weight is not a good indication. Time is not a good indication. You ran 10K 5 years ago, 65 minutes, and you never train, you want to do below 60 minutes, I think you may die. So this is something that additional parameters to help you understand your own fitness level. I talk about heart rate variability is a good indication of mood and stress. In human being, we all respond differently to different music. Some music make us want to stand up and start moving. Some music make us very relaxed. But the music that make you very relaxed may make me very, stressed up. So we all respond differently. So this is measured in HRV. Actually, I have in my pocket a product that's going to be launched by one of our partners. It's the world's first designer-based earphone for the iPhone 7 with smart sensing. Now, what does it do? For example, after people ask me, with earphone, you don't wear earphone all the time. You just wear 1 or 2 hours, not like a watch. But you think about it, a lot of young people don't wear watch anymore. I see people trying to hide that they're wearing a watch. But in every of our bag, I can guarantee you 90% in this room has an earphone. Putting sensors in the earphone is like putting sensors on your customer. You know what they're doing. So this device that I show you is not for running. So I just talk about running, but this is not just for running. It detects, for example, that you are stressed. After the whole day of work, it detects from the heart rate variability that you have been stressed. And from the apps, with the machine learning, it remembers which song help you relax. So it plays the song back to you to relax. Of course, when you go on business trip, and then you see it's a very nice gym, and you want to go run, and you haven't run for a long time, you wear this earphone, it helps you manage your heart rate intensity so you don't go exceed. And of course, you can use it for normal, everyday conference call and so on and so forth. So those are devices that we are trying to develop, because we have probably the smallest, we claim to have the smallest heart rate sensing earbud design in the world. Again, you can see the demo outside. Because in future, wearables, you cannot have the sensor too big. Because if the sensor sticks out like too big, then you're sending, people see you, oh, what, you're trying to cut weight? Oh, what, you have this problem or that problem? It's not good. You want the sensor to be hidden. I guarantee you, when you go outside, you cannot find my sensor in the earphone because it's that small. We have the compact design. That's our patent. So this is a very wordy page that tells you what are some of the examples of end market that we would like to work with you, for instance. From things like, to measure things like from dynamic heart rate, to VO2 max, to heart variability, to balance. It's all targeted at different people that we believe. And then, for instance, when I talk about the sleep apnea, people that I know at night, when they have to try to avoid dying their sleep, they need to put an oxygen mask, for instance. It serves two purposes. One of the purposes is to detect if they have the problem. Second purpose is to force oxygen into them. Okay? So let's say they have a milder case of sleep apnea. Does the device need to be a wristband, for example? Or maybe the device can be a headband. Now today, I don't think today when you came to the Federation of Hong Kong Industries, I don't think along the way you have seen anybody wearing a headband. The last time I saw anybody wearing a headband was John McEnroe doing the tennis. But at night when you're sleeping, who cares? If that device can give you the kind of, can replace the bulky device that you have to use. Now, how do we make those kind of devices successful? I think it requires a shift in mentality for the industry. Because I will explain later, but in general, I think Hong Kong, we can do innovation. I think we can do branding. So we won a bit of a promotion. So we won in the Mobile World Congress, the biggest telecom show, we won the best wearable mobile technology. And there's actually another version of this where we held the Hong Kong flag. When we went up on stage, held the Hong Kong flag, photographer asked us, "What flag is this?" Hong Kong, you know. They were surprised. But we were able to compete against other big companies like Guess, Epson, Motorola, Intel, and we won. It was actually a very emotional moment because the MC was saying, "Oh, the winner is well," you know. Then we thought maybe, well, the winner is Intel. Then they said the winner is well being digital. Then someone pushed me out. Besides the Mobile World Congress, we also won a couple of awards at the Geneva Invention Convention, which is a invention competition that's co-organized by the World Intellectual Property Organization. And there's also a bunch of other awards that we won. Actually, I think last night I was just informed that we also won the Merit Award at the Global ICT Excellence Competition in Brazil. Of course, I didn't go to Brazil, but because I have to be here. Oh, then I should have asked you to get the prize for us. But I had to come here. But apparently you had your own airplane or something. You know? Okay. But it was 2 nights ago, unfortunately. So I want to explain that we can, we managed to have this kind of technology that slowly we are trying to help people understand that, hey, people outside of Hong Kong understand. Because one of the things that I see is a lot of foreign brands, what happens is they come to the Hong Kong airport and then they take a shuttle and go to Shenzhen directly. What if they can stop here? Not necessarily in Science Park, but at Kwun Tong, or even here, for example, and understand. I don't wish to have a situation where they think we are just for cost down. So that's why we are doing this, to bring awareness. It's actually, every award we win, there's no money, but every time we have to give money, as in we have to fly there, and the hotel, and so on and so forth. So there's a video, I don't know if you can play, I hope you can play, of to kind of reinforce what I'm going to say, what I've said about the pre-medical wearable market.
My name is Charlie Savini, and I'm the Lebel Professor of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science at MIT. I'm also the director of the Medical Electronic Device Realization Center, where we are in the midst of a revolution of digital devices that can be used for monitoring disease states and physiological parameters. The sensing of physiological parameters is creating a revolution in medical device design. We are capable of measuring a variety of parameters around the body, including things such as ECG, blood pressure, pre-ejection period, volume status of fluids, to improve the lifestyle of people that have this disease or others. So we see wearable medical devices being a revolution that can help not only the patients, but also the medical community, and help improve health around the world.
Well-being digital uses its proprietary, innovative, multiple sensing pair technologies to measure human physiological data, and at the same time using the same frequency domain information to remove the motion artifact seamlessly. This technology has the advantage of keeping this data intact and then achieving a higher accuracy. Using these technologies, there is a whole wealth of physiological information that we can extract from the human body for future valuable applications.
What Professor Cui said was this, that because we uses, our technology allows you to keep a lot of information that we can extract. Remember I just told you that in our case, we use infrared, it goes deeper. A little bit of technology discussion here. For a device to be accurate, for example, we talk about wearable, there will be sensor, and sensor, why sometimes people tell you to wear your watch very close to the skin, very tight. Why? Because if the distance between the skin and your sensor, if it varies too much, there's noise. So, for example, our competitor, we have only basically in this area one competitor in the US. They use a method of using accelerometer to deduce the distance between the sensor and the skin. And I think all of you can remember your differentiation and integration, yes? You know, our high school math, yes? So from let's say you have a acceleration information, if you differentiate twice, you get your displacement, the distance. And that's how you use to remove the motion artifact. But we also remember that from the long formula, if you differentiate too many times, then a lot of information get cut off, whether it's noise or actually good data. Our method, we don't use this. We use the same optical sensors, multiple pairs, to triangulate accurately your heart rate. So that's our difference. And that's what Professor Cui said. We managed to keep a lot of information that is extracted, that slowly we will start to deduce out and explain to the user, like the way we explain the VO2 max. So I think today one of the problems that I always hear from when I talk to experts or people that have been in business much longer than me, I think Hong Kong, we unfortunately, pricing competition. A lot of times we lose to competitors in China because I don't know how they get it so cheap. But in Hong Kong, there's a certain level of integrity, of quality, of reliability that we need to maintain. At the same time, you know, the retailers will give us, or the brand sometimes is quite tough, because the retailer will say that if the device don't sell, they return everything to you. You know, you have to take it, and notwithstanding its 120-day payment term. Therefore, many times when people tell me that their customer includes some of the big retailer in US, actually I sweat, because there may be returns that they never thought they will face. This is data from one of the, from actually my master's dissertation that I did. So all these numbers, let me summarize it for you. What it means is that in China today, price is no longer the first concern. Price is like the fourth or even fifth concern. We can imagine that. In China, people are getting richer. Everybody is trying to tell you that, oh, your device is selling too expensive. It won't happen. It won't sell in China. But is this true? We all know that in China, a lot of people have iPhone. Is iPhone that cheap? We all know that in China, there are people who has designer bags, LV. Is it that cheap? Then why is it in electronics everybody is saying that, you know, oh, you have to be lower than low, you know, your price. If not, you cannot sell. Well, I'm just telling you based on data that I've amassed. I also actually put in the source. The source, these are all scientific papers or data from reliable organizations that shows that price is not necessarily the first, second, or even third considerations anymore. Again, this was part of the survey that I did about 4 or 5 months ago. Today, I think I would bet some people in this room don't even know who is Vivo and Oppo. But Vivo and Oppo, I think they came from BBK, and today they have a market share bigger than Xiaomi. Sorry, I say Xiaomi again. But the point here is that if you do your marketing well, and if you have innovative advantage, you can win the low price. That's the message that I want to share with you. Today they came out and they conquered the 2,000 RMB and above market, not the 1,000. And by the way, the other players are coming out. Of course, Huawei is still the biggest. So what does it mean today? Now, I'm encouraging you to develop your own product, your own branded product. And you may say that, hey, you know what, Kow, you are a bit silly. Because for every dollar of R&D of the technology, you need to spend another dollar on sales and marketing. And doing brand is very difficult. And I don't want to fight with my customer, you may say. But then we also saw, with the advent of sites like Kickstarter, we are starting to hear brands we never heard before. I'll tell you, you know, some of you may have heard of a brand called Bragi. Bragi is a true wireless device. It took them a long time before they ship, but they ship. There's another brand called Revlo, which you put into earphone, and based on the apps, it will heat up the elements inside so that the whole earphone fits into your ear. You may have heard of Oculus. Well, you may have heard of Oculus because they got bought by Facebook, but they also started a Kickstarter. So creating a brand is no longer necessarily that difficult, because all of us have a smartphone today. We don't rely our news on just one channel in the past. Now we get information from everywhere. So while it could be very difficult to be an Apple, where everybody uses you, but I'm not saying that if you can, but I'm saying that if you can have a product that is innovative and give reliable and good information to the user might be able to pay a premium, might be willing to pay a premium. Apparently, I know the chairman will share about the visit to DJI. Apparently, DJI last year sold about 500,000 drones. 500,000 only. 500,000 to your factory is a 40,000 a month. 40,000 a month doesn't even 40,000 units a month type customer probably doesn't even float up during your weekly meeting. But DJI is a $10 billion company because the product is so good, reliable, and they can sell at a high price. You don't need to have 1 million shipment per month kind of thing. 40,000. So think about that. So what I'm trying to tell you to summarize in summary of this is, besides my licensing business, if you have innovative ideas, I'll provide technology to you, free. Let's do a brand, but you have to handle the sales and marketing. That's not what I want to. That's not what I can do, but that's what you may be able to do. I'll just provide technology to you the way I license to my other customers. And from there, I have a share of let's do a profit sharing arrangement. Let's not try to do another Fitbit, Me Too. Doesn't make sense. We don't want to, when Fitbit sells at 129, we want to sell at 79. No, that's not what we want to do. We want to do something that, hey, it's also wristband, but it tells you that, hey, you have sleep apnea. You better don't drive now. And if you own a BMW or Mercedes-Benz, I'm sure you'll be able and willing to afford $200 for something like that to help you avoid accidents. So that's what. So this is the, as I recap, this is the world's first heart rate earphone. They'll be launching in this month at Kickstarter. The world's first designer earphone for iPhone 7 that has smart sensing. It allows you to make your conference call. It detects if you are stressed. The apps will measure which songs help you relax and then play it back to you so that you can relax. Why? Why is relax important? Apparently from the chief health officer of that big insurance company that I spoke to, mental related illness is 25% of the healthcare costs in US. So this is big. So that basically ends my presentation. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Kow.